great war comes as we know it must. And the government says it's time for every citizen to go and fight to the death.
Hey yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate your support and patronage of the channel. I've got the replay of the week here with Madogthefirst, and he is loaded into Sand River in his little tiny M5 Stuart in a tier 4 and 3 two-tier game. Now normally I don't really do the small tiers like this or cover them in my videos, but I'm going to cover it here because of two reasons. Number one, it's a pretty epic game. Even though it's low tier, it's still a very good game. But more importantly, there are definitely some low-level things to learn here as Mad Dog runs around in his M5 Stuart, which is a tier 4 US light tank. It's a pretty fantastic little tank, actually. There's a Chinese version that's also good. So he's going to come up here and establish a bit of positioning. So number one thing to learn, new players, positioning. What does that mean? It means get to a place where you have a large field of fire and can cover a significant portion of the map from which you can run away and defend yourself if necessary, and does not expose you to every direction. So this is not bad because he can't really be hit by guys up on here. Okay, he obviously can't shoot them either, but he can flex up to the top of this ridge and take those shots. He can be hit by guys over here, but he's got a lot of shots down into this area. And because he's nice and fast and has positioned forward early, guess what he's going to do? He's going to catch a bunch of guys out. Oh, he's got binocs as well. Very nice. Hey, look at this. Shooting gallery time. Oh, bummer. Hey, look, Artie, let's get rid of the bison. Always a good idea. Taking shots in here. I would have zoomed in a little bit more and fine-tuned that shot. That's something that I see Mad Dog do quite a bit. I mean, it works for a lot of people. For me, though, getting a little bit closer to my work. Also, a tendency to shoot right at guys that are moving instead of potentially lead them just a little bit. And you can see that the fight starts to develop. Guys are spreading around a bit. There's quite a few moving down through the south. And what's going to happen is they tend to start getting flanked here if you can't take care of these guys. Panzer 1C is doing what Panzer 1Cs do, rage around like a chicken with its head cut off. Getting out the T-127 would be nice. Oh, there's a mess. There's some critical hits in here. That didn't go through. And again, I think if you zoom in a little bit more, you might be able to fine-tune those shots some. But there, I've seen a lot of players, they tend to fire zoomed out quite a bit more in a third-person type idea, although this is in the sniper mode. Now, you will notice that the 127 is shooting back, so he obviously sees Mad Dog. This position is possibly now a bit more dangerous than I would be sitting around with if they know that I'm here. Probably would have moved out. There we go. So we're going to back up, defend ourselves a little bit. We got a M2 availing himself of our gun, and he goes down. Very good. And the T-127, and they are still pushing around on the south pretty hard. Looks like our north guys have that handled for the moment. Pretty even on the game. So as of right now, Mad Dog doesn't feel like he needs to push out of this spot. Now that M3 and that Hetzer have been trolling around there for a while. There's a missed shot there. You do need to keep an eye on him. You don't want him to come around and take you down. This tank does not have a whole lot of hit points, so 340 doesn't take long to machine gun him out of the game. And now Mad Dog is going to reposition and get out of there. So he did what he could. Obviously this flank has failed. So if he continues, new players, if you continue to sit up there on that exposed hill with an entire flank that's failed, you will eventually be seen and focused on. Now Mad Dog's going to push back towards the cap, and it looks like the Panzer 1C is raging in. And this is another example of something that probably needs to be worked on by Mad Dog. I would be out here in third person, driving, making sure I don't run into rocks, but also checking around to see what I can see. Because as he's going in here, he just barely did that. A while back, though, you would have seen that Panzer 1C coming. And once again, ignoring what the Panzer 1C is doing, I want to know where he's going. Does he look like he's following me? Did he just ignore me, and is he going up through that little crease right there? If he's ignoring me and going up that crease, I may be able to cut left here and go right up behind him. But you don't know that. All you've got is the mini-map. Then he spins around. Okay, now he sees him. It's a little thing, but it is the little things that matter. So we're going to auto-aim here. We'll come on up. Panzer 1C's tearing up our arty. Ooh, dangerous shot in amongst our friends. Took a hit from the side. That's another thing, new players, you need to learn how to do. He took a hit in the engine and he fixed it on the run. Nice and quick. He did not want to leave a dead engine because he needed his mobility. Those guys that have flanked in the south are all over the place, so he does a nice job getting in here. The reason he's sitting here and not continuing to circle around like a spaz is, number one, he's got shots, and number two, he's protecting himself from shots coming from this direction to the max extent possible. Kills him, and now he's going to, I believe, get out. Yeah, we'll just check and see if that 127 wants to push into us. Now, I would have been checking to see if I have shots on these guys up here. I would have looked at them and went, oh, I can't quite get my camera to do it. But I just saw it. There you go. So I got a high. So I actually have shots on this guy. There we go. If you come up a little. Just took a little while to kind of sort that out. And I think this is probably a wise decision. Let's just get out of here. Positioning, alright, so new players positioning. We went here, we flexed back here to take care of that guy. No sense just sitting here in this corner. This is all compromised, this whole area. So all this right here is going to be open to shots from the hill pretty soon. And guys pushing around, he's just going to get pushed and dead. So he's got to get out of here. He's got to preserve distance between the enemy and himself and put some structure, in this case the land right here, between him and the enemy's shots. And once again, you're just driving and not really paying attention. I think you actually had shots on that Sturv. Now you do have to watch out for the 127. There we go. So it looks like you realize it there. And I'm not saying you needed to stop there. That probably wouldn't have been a great idea. Alright, so there goes the 127 killing the priest. Loading up our gold and take him down. Very good. That evens it up a little bit now. Trying to make a decision what we want to do. We're going to head off this way. Oh, look at this. Here comes an M3 Stuart the other way. And there's one down in the ditch. Not a bad decision. You had two choices there. You could have backed up and taken out the 4%er or stayed up here with the guy that was on better hit points. I think this was the right decision because it was going to take a while to whittle him down, and it's going to take a while for this guy to get up and even be a threat. Had you shot him or maybe missed a couple times, this guy may have just continued to push in. He would have been all over you. As it was, this actually preserves the maximum amount of distance from the two enemies. Pulling right back. There he is. Nice job. And now we got 4 dead. 4 kills. Looking a lot better than it did. So let's take a look at what we got going on. Positioning. Went here, ran out, took care of the guy in the cap, fell back, killed the guy that pushed into the cap, came around this corner, saw him coming. That's a reactionary kind of thing. Nice job with those two. And now what do we have? A couple guys on cap, or at least this guy was last seen there. LTZ up here, Hetzer and Sturv, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, guess what? There's a guy missing, so we need to be cognizant of that. 2 options then are to come back up with these guys or maybe stick around cap here. I don't really recommend going through the middle. There's a Hetzer there, there's an unaccounted for guy, and there's potentially some guys raging around coming through. Let's see what he chooses to do. Looks like he's trying to head back towards the north, but holy cow. Oh, there's another guy. Alright, so there's the LTZ. Let's keep on trucking this way. Looks like maybe he wants to return back to his friends, but interesting. The LTZ got on the cap. So, is he going across the cap, or is he actually trying to cap? At this level, a lot of times they are actually trying to cap. New players, you'll notice, 1:38. That's quite a long time up there. Quite a long time. So you can actually do a few things before you have to get back to the cap. It's going to depend on your tank's speed, but you'll note that Mad Dog's tank is quite fast, so he heads back that way. And here's probably one of the more critical times where camera angle and camera technique while driving hurts you just a little bit. I always talk about look for every single shot you can get and take it. look for every single shot you can get and take it. And you're going to drive, you're pointing directly this way, and you're laser focused on getting back to this LTZ 38 and taking him down, because by golly, I'm not going to let him cap. Note you're still at a minute 32. You have a lot of time. And later on, you're going to use that time very wisely, which we'll get to. But let's go ahead and do, with the camera, what I would be doing while I drive, and that is zoomed out to about here and looking around. And when you note that Hetzer on the mini-map, go, hey, where is he? And then you'll note that you have a shot. Got a shot right on that guy. And you're not spotted. At least you shouldn't be, because I don't think you ever got inside the green line. Sorry, not the green line. You are inside the white line. You actually may be spotted. But keep on trucking, and if he doesn't turn towards you, stop and take that shot. And I do that right about here or so. Once I notice that he's not turning, I think you had shots on that Hetzer. At the very least, you should have turned around and looked at him. So we had lots of time. We're going to come around here. Now we're going to go ahead and take on this LTZ, which we do need to be a bit careful with because we don't have a whole bunch of hit points to give. Where is that guy? There he is. Hiding behind the structure. That's one. Now his turret's turning. That's something else new players need to pay attention to. So when you come around and you start taking shots and you highlight him, you see that turret start swinging. That means he's got awareness. He's showing awareness. That's a nice job. And then we go to auto aim. All right, I don't like this at all, and the reason is auto aim is going to aim dead center structure. What you want to be doing is popping up and over. Let's see if I can get this to do it. I can't really get the same view, but you want to be popping up and over to where you just see his turret, which means you are exposing a lot less of your own tank. By going auto aim dead center mass, that forces you to expose more of your tank up and over the hill. You may still be able to hit your turret. Ooh, and that one I would not have stayed up for. This just takes a really long time to get rid of him. Oh, that's a miss. Alright, so we got that guy dead. Outstanding. Up to 5 kills. I think you probably took at least one extra hit than you should have right there. And I'd have definitely not used auto aim in third person. I'd have zoomed in. So where are we? 5 kills. Oh, geez, there's only 2 of us alive. There's the LT, VZ, 38. And the Hetzer is still camping in the same spot. And that is something that you'll find at this level, new players. Some players will get to a spot, and that's their spot, or it's been working for them, and by God, they're not going to move. Now, he may be trapped by the LTZ. I don't know exactly what's going on over there. But here's the other thing. Mad Dog, you know he's there, right? He was just spotted. You've got the binocs. Let's see what you do. Why not just stop there and get the binocs cooking and see if you can't find him, and then shoot him before he can even see you. And we're going to come up, hey diddle diddle, right up the middle. Here's what I don't like about this. We don't know where this guy is. I mean, he could already be up on this ridge, which is right there, or up on one of those dunes looking down, and you're going right up the middle. You've got a guy here on a dune, which can come up and shoot, and you've got a Hetzer sitting right there in the same exact spot. And based on your camera angle, you weren't really looking. All right, this is not a bad idea. Once you got to that position, I probably would not have also come up in the middle because, again, that flanking shot from the Sturv down here, this was probably your best bet. But I think had you stopped way back there and let your binocs cook, you'd have caught that Hetzer out without even him seeing you. All right, there's the Sturv. This is another example of what I'm talking about with camera work. As I came up here, I know the Hetzer's there, so you can lock your turret forward. For everyone who's new, it's the right mouse button, push down and hold as you're going up the hill, because you want to be pointing the turret in the direction of the threat that you're going after. But I'd have been looking around. As soon as I saw that guy, I probably would have spun around and seen what he's doing, and he is definitely looking at me. So I've got to go up and over. And hopefully that's what you were thinking there. Unfortunately, what you do is you have to cut right, and oh my gosh, we're still kind of giving him shots. Thank God for that rock. You couldn't really cut left because you were just heating up the intercept for the Hetzer as he turns around and he gets dead. So that ended up working out for you, but that was extremely dangerous. And that's exactly why I talk about, I probably, if you did come this way, I already talked about what to do the Hetzer. I may have then cut across and maybe headed up towards and tried to find that stir, but it worked out for you. And a lot of that is, again, positioning while moving is the Artie shoots at you. No, it wasn't the Artie, it was the TD, wasn't it? Yep, and there's another example of what I'm talking about. That guy had seen you and came up and over, and with your camera work, you're kind of fixated on the stirb and you don't really see what that guy's doing. It's one of these situations where you've got to have eyes in the back of your head. So you knew the stirb was there, but here's an interesting thing about that. Once you killed the Hetzer up here and got away and started headed off this way, he was out of position for a while. Now, he's relatively fast, but it was going to take him a while to get back into the fight. Your buddy is up here fighting two guys. All right, so you had two choices: get up and support the LTZ, or come down here and get the stirb. The nice thing about going up here and supporting the LTZ is the stirb would have never had a shot, and you actually highlight yourself on that ridge, which is extremely dangerous. And that's what I was talking about a minute ago before I got off track, is positioning in maneuvering late game is also important. Where you go, where you highlight yourself is important. You want to minimize the amount of shots that the enemy has while also finding him, and sometimes those two do not match. Alright, then there's that guy. So he is actually behind that dune, so that works out. So this is not a terrible decision. The guy is isolated, and you should have a pretty easy time taking him out. You're kind of rolling the dice that the LT can do something over there before he dies. We're going to auto aim and take him down. A little bit of a lucky shot, but you got to take those. Got to take those shots, and if they fall, then great. And those two realize, all right, so we've got to take down this LT, which they do. And can he do it? Can Mad Dog make it happen? Is this an epic? He's got 6 kills. That means he's going to need either a cap or 8 kills. Let's see what happens. The LT VZ is a little bit salty. This is a good move. I like this. Coming up and over this dune will minimize your exposure as you approach. No sense in driving right back to the cap. And if you can get it behind him, that'd be good. Another thing that happens at this level is often the enemy will simply be single-minded going to the cap. What they probably should have done is, once they killed him off, is set up some kind of defense around here, or maybe fall back into these dunes and wait for Mad Dog to come through. Maybe be able to look this way and this way, kind of thing, supporting each other. But what you're going to find is Herder got to get to the cap. And that completely plays into Mad Dog's plan here. So we didn't catch him going this way, so they're obviously not waiting for him. So what could they be doing? I think I already said they're headed to the base, which is what new players tend to do. Well, there's that guy. Whack. Whack. Man, he'd have done a lot better to keep going forward and try to get up and around that rock. Just backing down, taking hits right and left. Nice job. Oh, alright, so let's push in there. Hey, guess what? There's some SA right there. Somebody's on the cap. There's only 2 of them left. Use that information there, new players. And it's 1:18, so he's got lots of time. So the other one, just let him know where he is, which means what? I can get up there and kill this SAV off without really worrying too much about the guy on cap. Mad Dog's going to make a great decision right here. Positioning. Alright, this is positioning on his approach to kill the SAV. As he comes up here, instead of going over there on this flat area, which by the way is exposed to the cap to some extent, he turns left where this high ground right here blocks the cap from doing anything about him and still affords him a shot on this guy down here, and whack, there he goes. And this is probably the most genius plan of the entire game. Once he kills that SAV, he's spotted for some time after, 5-6 seconds or so. The guy in the cap obviously sees his relative motion. He sees him come down the hill, and he sees him start driving up this ramp. Naturally, he's on the cap thinking, well, that guy's going to try to reset me. So I'm on the cap, behind a dead tank or something, a structure, maybe using whatever terrain he might have, and his turret is probably pointed right here on this ramp, waiting for Mad Dog to come up and over. Mad Dog's going to keep driving as if he's going to do it, and then, whoop, nope, I'm going the other way. Now, if the guy in the cap is smart and he doesn't immediately see Mad Dog, he has to have in the back of his mind, oh crap, maybe he's going to the other side. But that puts him in a conundrum, doesn't it? That gives him a devil's bargain or something. Probably not the right term there. The point is, he has to look in two directions. Let's see how smart is he. Is he even thinking about it? 31 seconds. So see how much time? See how he took out the SAV, he moved up towards the ramp, had time to turn around, and that's all because he used the time on the cap timer. Unlike earlier that I talked about, this is a good amount of SA. Where is that guy? And isn't that interesting? Because he actually had come around that corner for quite a while. That guy was behind that bush, just that little bush right there at that range, and he couldn't see him until he came back around the bush. And look what he's doing. He's hiding behind this tank right here. And he's not even looking at the direction Mad Dog's coming. So he never really thought about the fact that Mad Dog may come from a different direction. Or he just rolled the dice and said, you know what, I'm just going to point this way and hope for the best. And he ends up dying. 8 kills. Nice job, Mad Dog. Lots of great learning points in here for new players at low level with tanks that they basically play in. I hope you learned something. I hope you like what you saw. If you did, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you.